All right, making massive changes. How to 10x your detailing business without losing your mind. Well, we're going to make some massive changes in your life. I'm going to talk about some things that, you may or may never heard of before. Change. Sometimes we are adverse to change. Humans want to move towards pleasure and away from pain. And sometimes change equals pain. Like it, love it, hate it, it don't matter. Everything changes. The weather, your hairline, your waistline, things change, okay? If you can count on one thing in the world, is change. Everything's always changing. And obviously, if you are currently what you're currently doing is not working, then most people would say change. What do they say? If you keep doing things, the same thing over and over again and keep getting the same outcome, and you keep doing it, it's not the recipe or the definition of insanity. So don't be insane. Don't be insane, okay? So many people continue to follow the same dead-end path. You know why? Because it's comfortable. Who wants to be comfortable? I say, and a lot of other people do too, stay uncomfortable. Because success is on the other side of being uncomfortable. If it's uncomfortable, meaning you're doing something right. Oh, I should go talk to that guy and see if he needs me to take care of his fleet of Maseratis. Oh, wow, he looks kind of mean, or he's just too important. That means you need to go and do it. I was at SEMA this past year, and I saw somebody that was the owner of a giant corporation, and I was like, oh, that's what's his name? That's all right. And that means, and I told myself the same thing. If I thought I was scared and I didn't want to do it, I turned around and I went and shook his hand and said hi, and now we're in contact, and we may be doing some very big business in the future. I could have kept going. So again, I made myself be uncomfortable. I'm not totally comfortable shooting this video and talking on the camera and reading some of these things, but I'm doing it anyways because, one of the reasons why I'm doing it, because I want to help detailers make more money. That's what I do. I do that every single day. I talk to them, I help them, I market with them, and that's just what I do, okay? So getting back to change. What kind of change do I mean? Well, take your pick. They all go hand in hand, But the change that I'm going to talk about is changing your mindset, your health, your business. All of this is going to change one thing. At least I hope it will. It will change your income level. Okay, that's the goal of all this. 10xing your business. It also, it starts with 10xing your mind. It starts with 10xing you, working on your processes, your ways and methods of making money. Because we're going to work on all of that stuff. But number one, we're going to work on yourself. Yes, you have to work on yourself. Nobody's going to knock on the door and hand you $1 million. Thank you, Mr. Grant Cardone. That's a quote from him. So, work on yourself. If it starts with the way you feel about your life, your future, and success. Yes, so we want to improve our mindset, okay? Mr. Tony Robbins talks about what you think about. What you think about becomes reality, and you are what you think about. So if you think negative things all the time, if you bombard yourself with gossip and just junk, what kind of success is going to come out of that? Not a whole bunch. So if you only allow positive thoughts into your head and keep the negative ones out, of course, it's not all that easy, We have a lot of negative people in the world. There's TV, radio, media, internet, Facebook. We are bombarded with negativity. Oh, the sky is falling. The bombs are dropping. Oh, the oil crisis, this crisis, that crisis. You would think, our lives are total chaos, and we might as well just end it now because we just can't take it no more. I say, cut all that stuff off. Turn the TV off. Turn the radio off. Turn Facebook off. And then the people. If you have the people in your life that are bloodsuckers, negative, energied vampires, we call them. Time to, excuse yourself from the table and not answer that phone. And I've had to do this in a few people in my life, and it's not easy. Nothing in this course is going to be easy. I'm going to tell you straight up. That's why I warned you ahead of time that nothing in this course is going to be easy, but it is worth it. I have done this myself. I've done everything we're talking about here. I've done all of this myself, and I continue to do it every single day. That's why I'm qualified to teach you this course. Mindset. How do you get a positive mindset? It's not something you're going to snap your fingers and going to have. It's going to take change. It's going to take ability. It's going to take some gumption. So, anyways, it's time to turn off the TV. It's time to cut the bloodsuckers out of your life. That is the first thing. The other thing is going to be, if you pour, junk into your mind, you're going to have junk in, junk out. So only put things in your head that are positive, that positive, inspiring books, audio tapes, YouTube videos, call me. I'll give you some motivation. There's a lot of things out there, and we're going to cover a lot of those things in this program here. So talk with inspiring people. Talk to an elder. Talk to somebody who's super, super successful and say, hey, look, how did you do it? How did you get through the grind? That's the hardest part. I'm in the middle of it right now, and we have a crisis. Oh, my God. I'm going to spin off a little bit here. If you ever read a book called The Greatest Generation by Tom Brokaw, it is really eye-opening. It talks about the greatest generation, the people who came back from World War II. They're missing an arm, they're missing a leg, an eyeball, whatever. At least they made it. And they came back to, no house, no job. They had to, create all these things. They didn't cry about it. They got their job as a police officer, a real estate agent. They started a business. They did all these things, and they never whined about it. Maybe they whined about it in private, but not like what you see today. So it's really important to, cut the bloodsuckers, keep an open mind, pour only good fuel into your mind, and that's where you start, okay? The other one, number 2, work on your processes. It could be your workflow, your duties, responsibilities, bookkeeping, marketing, and your sales ability. So, as the leader of your business, guess who is probably the most qualified to sell your products or services? Yes, you. So, excelling in today's business landscape requires you to be a problem solver, a manager, a leader, an accountant, a CEO, and even a motivational guru like Les Brown, okay? And they want you to be all of it in one. But, that's a lot of hats to wear. I did that for 20 years. I wore all the hats. I was everything. I was the web designer. I was the selling guy. I was the pour the bottle, put it in the box, and ship it guy. I was everything. And, you just can't manage it all yourself. And it's a long list of things that I just said. You want to be the accountant and the CEO and the motivational guru and everything else, and the guy that goes to the post office and the guy that takes out the trash. Like I said, I did this for 20 plus years, and this last couple years I've hired an amazing team. They run my entire company for me, so I can make things like this. I can be creative. I can be free to travel. I can help other people like you, make more money. And I'm also still the leader and the owner, but yet I don't have to, take out the trash. I don't have to pack the boxes. I did 20 years of that, and now it's time for someone else to do that. So again, the second part, we worked on the first part, is your mindset, and we're going to go more into that. The second part here is work on your processes. Get your business streamlined. If you need an accountant, hire an accountant. If you need a landscaper, get the landscaper out there. If you need a manager to manage the shop and make sure the cars come in and the money comes in and all these things, so you can focus on how you're going to go out there and get more cars, more customers, more money, more income. We're going to go into that here pretty soon, and it goes into number 3 here, is making more money. Once you can free yourself from taking the trash out and et cetera, the things I just talked about, then you can talk about and talk to me about, or you're going to read here in the next couple chapters, creating new avenues, new ways, new channels of income and securing the ones you already have, okay? And I need you to be thinking about how to work smarter, better, and with more lucrative results, okay? This could be anything from, cutting interiors. I tell you, I'm not a big interior guy. I just don't like to be in the car cleaning stuff. It's hot, it's dirty, but some people like to do interiors. No problem with that. But you know what? Interiors don't pay all that much money when you compare it to paint correction and ceramic coatings, okay? To me, that's a low-paying service unless you're doing some ridiculous high-end stuff, but I can't think of what interior is making a whole bunch of money. So maybe you want to cut interiors and only focus on paint corrections and coatings, and we'll talk about in a little bit about X-Coat. So those 3 things there make thousands of dollars per day. If an interior only makes $50 to $100, then why would you do that? Again, this course is all about 10xing your income, all about 10xing your life and your mindset. So, we have talked about, a lot of things, your mindset, your processes, and now we're on making more money. So maybe you want to go from doing only retail work to maybe some commercial work, maybe RVs, maybe wanting to get into aircraft detailing. I don't know. We'll talk about that later on in the program. Maybe you want to also learn PPF, tint, 12 volt. Who knows? There's a lot of different things. None of them are wrong. You have to figure out what is best for your business. But the whole point here is, how are you going to make more money? Okay? Again, it starts with your mind, it starts with your processes, and then it starts with ways and avenues and channels of income. Okay? All right. So we're going to move on to the next section here. It's still the same. We're on the same chapter, which is change. So the big problem here is, one of the reasons why you're probably listening to this program is because you don't have enough money. So what Grant talks about, he says, if you don't have enough money, that means you probably don't know enough about money. Okay, so if you have a money problem, you don't have a money problem, you have an income problem, okay? So, an income problem. So I always ask people these 3 questions, okay? If you're hungry, where do you go? Some people say the refrigerator. I say where the food is, okay? If you're thirsty, where do you go? Not the bar. You go where the water is. So if you want money, where do you go? I think you see where I'm going here. You go where the money is. If you do want money, right? So, again, it seems simple. You go where the money is. Well, where's that? Again, it's all about change. And Mr. Grant Cardone, that's who, we talk about a lot here. He has T-shirts and posters, and it says, "Who's got my money?" Okay? This is what you got to put in your mind. You got to be looking out there. Hey, who's got my money? All right. There's that guy. He's got a nice car. He's got an RV. Okay, let's get this guy going. Let's get him in here, and he's got my money. I need to get it from him. I can't wrestle him for it, but I can take care of his vehicles. I can take care of what he needs to take care of, and in turn, I will get the money. So again, who's got your money? All right. Again, Grant talks about this here, and I already mentioned it once. If you don't have any money, you probably don't know much about money. What is it? Where does it come from? How do you make more money? It's time to learn about money. Where does it come from? Study it. Get to know it. Buy a book on money. Okay? Listen to books. Buy courses. Get a mentor. Maybe you have some uber-rich mentor that you can ask, hey, how did you get so stinking rich? Oh, I took care of my mind, and I took care of the processes, and I figured out where the money is. That's what the guy's going to tell you. That's what I'm telling you, okay? So there are resources out there. And again, I'm not trying to make this overwhelming. I'm trying to speak slowly. I talk fast. So it's difficult for me to speak slowly. And I get excited about this kind of stuff. This is what I like to talk about all day long. So, it all begins with you, okay? It begins with making, hold on, let me just say that again. It begins with making massive changes. The way you think, your processes, and how you think about money. Money's not bad. Zig Ziglar said one time, try to go without air and money at the same time and see how far you get. So you need air, and now try to go without money. I don't know how long you can live without any money, but you're going to need some money. So you're going to need plenty of it. You need plenty of air, and you need plenty of money. So you might as well have as much as possible, okay? So the last thing I have here written down is if if you're on a boat and you're headed towards the rocks, what are you going to do? Are you going to keep going into those rocks? Or are you going to change course immediately? Because if you don't, you know what's going to happen. So what I'm trying to say here is it's time for a change. It's time to change your mindset. It's time to change your processes. Maybe not all your processes are broken, but I bet if you broke them down and you found some people to take over some of your responsibilities, you would be able to have more time to figure out where the money is. And most of all, what does GC say about it? Who's got my money? So we're going to move on to the next chapter. Hopefully, I made my point clear here with this chapter, and we'll see you in the next chapter.